Hi everyone, I'm Aliyah. Can I move this? Is this cool? Yeah? Okay. Okay. So this summer I worked with the Laundromat project, and before I get into what they do, I'm curious to know what neighborhoods are in the room. Who's from what neighborhood? Who's living where? Tell me. Bushwick? Okay. The Bronx? Where in the Bronx? Okay, cool. Grand Concourse. All right. The Bronx. Right. Prospect Park. You just shout them out. What about this side of the room? BedStuy. Washington Heights. All right. Cool. Great. All right. I promise it's relevant. Let me bring up my PowerPoint so I can explain why. So, this summer I worked with the Laundromat project. Here we go. And, here we go. So the Laundromat project works with communities of color, mainly, bringing arts programming, artists, and arts into laundromats and other everyday spaces as a means of building up those communities. So this summer I had the opportunity to work in the office internally with the team member, supporting the capacity of their programs. And I also had the chance to work at one of their programs, which they have in the laundromat. So every Sunday from 12 to 3, they would host these community art workshops at the 3 neighborhoods that they mainly worked in: Hunts Point in the Bronx, Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, and in Harlem. And so they call them community art workshops, and I would just go to support the artists and the workshops they were doing those days. So what I have for you are photos and stories from those workshops I worked over the summer. So let's go to Harlem first. These pictures are from the Harlem Street Ram workshop, where participants got to create movements and stories and use dance to tell their stories about Harlem. So we wrote some of the prompts in chalk on the movement, and this was one of them, asking what does Harlem mean to you? Another was, I shape Harlem by. And a really cool thing about this workshop was we were doing these movements, we were creating these dances, and we had also brought jump rope. So folks got to jump rope, and it became this huge spontaneous jump rope share session where people would take the rope, they started spinning it, you could jump in and out. It was really fun. Here's more jumping, epic hair. Here's a little video. Oh, snap!
Oh, she gonna jump in. Get it, girl!
Woo! Woo! Nice! Yeah. So we had a lot of fun just talking about what Harlem means to us and dancing and moving and sharing all the while. Next, BedStuy. So this is from the workshop where we were making plant seeders, or I'll show you. Plant holders. So this artist recognized that a lot of the plant holders in BedStuy, in that neighborhood in particular, are made from recycled material. So we used recycled bottles to make plant holders. So I had the chance to make one. On the left, you'll see my cup filled with soil, and then on the right, it's growing in my dorms, the dorms we were living in over the summer. This is a pic from the workshop where we did button making around the prompt of, what do you think about the police in the neighborhood? So thinking about police presence. We asked 2 main questions. So how would you like to see the police? How would you like to see them improve? And the second was, what would things look like without the police? And this really brought up some pretty heavy things, a lot of conversation. One participant was reflecting on Eric Garner, and she knew him, so it elicited a lot in her. Those are participants sporting their buttons. And now to Hunts Point. So, funny thing, so these workshops are taking place every Sunday in these 3 neighborhoods, and I ended up spending the most time in Hunts Point, which I wasn't expecting to happen at all. But for that reason, I'm really glad I ended up staying there the most. I got to know a lot of folks. So Kaylin was included, Kaylin, who you see on the right. She was like a regular participant, would come almost every Sunday and became like a best friend. So that really prompted and motivated me to keep going back and checking in on how she was doing and, you know, what was the state of affairs of Hunts Point, what were things, how were her annoying brothers. That's her. We made Polaroid prints that day. Her with the prints, other photos of neighbors, more folks, community. This was from our Greenway Ornaments workshop. So participants had the chance to make and design signs about protecting the Greenway on Lafayette Avenue. We had noticed that there was a lot of trash, there was a lot of garbage around that area, so we were trying to encourage people to protect the flowers and all the greenness that was happening over there. Those are some of the signs that came out. It looked like. Yeah. And after the workshop, I always walk over to the train, of course, and would just, was reminded to always be looking at the neighborhood, right? To be taking in what I saw. And so I would end up taking all these pictures and looking around and seeing the ideas and the things that were coming up. So 2 of those photos are actually from the Brownswell Community Mural Project's mural up in Hunts Point. So shout out to another fellow, connections happening there. So yeah, those are some of the stories. But, you know, as you can see, I think I did a lot of thinking about neighborliness this summer and neighborhoods. So I was thinking about gentrification, I was thinking about development displacement, white privilege, purchasing power, all of these things. But once I had the chance to really reflect on the summer and think about how am I going to talk about my experience, it was like, wait, keep it simple. Like, before we can talk about these things and really think about them, I think we need to focus on neighborhoods and our neighbors and who they are. You know what I mean? Like, what did I really do this summer? I participated in these spaces where I could have fun, you know what I mean, and learn about these people and these neighbors. So yeah, that's what I've got for you.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Aliyah?
Stayed involved with the Laundromat project, or if this has sort of influenced other things that you've been doing since the summer in any way.
Yeah, I've actually, so I'm kind of addicted to volunteering at their art workshops now. I try to as you know, when the chances come up. But so a couple weeks back, the LP had Field Day, which is their annual festival celebrating the neighborhoods they work in. So Hunts Point, Harlem, and BedStuy again. And I volunteered in Hunts Point and got to see Colin, which was really fun. But I'm also interested in socially engaged art, community responsive art making. So this has really inspired my work and made me think about how I can bring it here at school. There's definitely a lot that goes on here in terms of navigating identity and microaggression and other things in the classroom. So constantly thinking about how arts can respond to those things.
Any other questions or comments for Aliyah? Oh.
Very good presentation. So 3 out of 4 of you chose to work in the arts industries over the summer, and I think that this is really interesting. Only one of you chose something that was not related to arts, and that's cool too. That's awesome. But I want to know if you guys were encouraged in any way, or what what drove you to that point? Because I mean, like 75% is, you know, pretty high majority. I mean, you're in a liberal arts school, but what influenced that decision for the three of you? Thank you.
I guess I'll start. Yeah, I'm an artist. You know, like I came to Lang for arts and for using the arts in a way that it creates interventions, right? So, yeah, I think the arts are powerful in that way, right? That we can use them as a tool to think about what's going on, reflect, inspire dialogue, do all those things. And once I discovered the fellowship and, you know, learned that Lang CESJ is super supportive of using the arts in that way, I was super psyched to be able to pursue this opportunity to learn more about how to use that. I don't
Karen
know
or
if
Colin,
Karen
do you
or
want to say anything?
Colin want to respond? You should come up.
All right. So the reason why I decided to stay with the Rebel Diaz Arts Collective is because I realized for the 3 years I've been there, the other 2 years in the summer were times where I was actually away from them. Because the first year, my first summer being with them, I was accepted into the HEOP program, Higher Education Opportunity Program. And we have to like dedicate 6 intensive weeks to this program. So I was hardly around during the summer. And then last summer, I had like this 9-to-5 job where it just would not work out with me, like being able to organize with the Art Act as much. And then when I heard that this fellowship was happening and they told me that you can be part of any social justice organization of your choice, I decided to use that advantage for me to be able to work closely with the Art Act. Yeah.
Just want to give a shout out to Aasim because his infographic I think is deserving of art.
I'd actually like to say that I'm an artist myself, contrary to previous belief. But the reason why I chose to work with WEACT is because I think sometimes, and I'm not speaking for anybody here, but sometimes artists don't do their homework. And it's important to get the knowledge and behind these issues. And what people don't realize is that laws are constantly changing all the time. And most people have no idea what they are. And I know I didn't. And that's why I chose to put my nose in and do research. But I ended up doing art anyway.
As a writer, I've always been searching for some way of connecting creative practice and questions of justice and social justice. And at Visual Aids, I was in conversation about the arts, public health, race, class issues, what communities the art world chooses to prioritize, like all these things. So the arts was essential, but it was also these different conversations too. And as someone who is invested in archiving and writing and just like art generally, I love art. It was really important for me to like put all these things in dialogue with one another, and I think the arts is a fantastic way of achieving that. So, yeah.
Thank you all. I think Eugene Lang proves over and over again that art can be a form of social research and a catalyst for social change. So thank you all for proving it to us once again. And also, look at the room we're in. Orozco. What is this? So now, please feel free to get up, move around, shake it out, ask some questions, think some thoughts. There's still plenty of food outside. There's a sign-up sheet on the table over yon. If you're a student interested in learning more about this program and how you might be able to become involved. So please, I mean, I'm feeling very moved right now as a young person who knows all these individuals personally. One thing we talk about often is oh my Lord, we are going to inherit the world one day, and all these mentors that we look up to are kind of expecting us to step up to the plate. And I have total faith, after having heard all of this, that it's going to be great. So eat some food, sign up, and talk to the fellows. And Judy will be talking and rounding us up come 8 o'clock.